George Saunders has won the Man Booker Prize for his novel Lincoln in the Bardo, becoming the second U.S. author to take home the £50,000 fiction award. The book tells the story of Abraham Lincoln's grief after the death of his young son and his visits to his tomb. It is the first full-length novel from Saunders, previously best known for his short stories, and is set in a graveyard over a single night. Judges praised the utterly original work and said it was deeply moving. Saunders said he had carried the idea for the novel around for 20 years, adding, "I really didn't want to write about Lincoln, but was so captivated by this story." YA experimental novel won the Booker. Image caption. Saunders met the Duchess of Cornwall before the ceremony. Analysis by BBC Arts correspondent Rebecca Jones. This is initially a rather off-putting book. It's got a rather strange title, and when you read the first few pages, you don't really know what's going on. It's the most experimental of the shortlisted novels, told in a multiplicity of voices. It's almost like a verbal collage. It can be quite a disconnecting experience, but stick with it, because it is not only very moving, but it's also very funny. Lincoln in the Bardo is a very interesting exploration of one of America's great presidents. It's examining his private, rather than public role. Because it's dealing with his dead son, it could risk becoming sentimental, but George Saunders manages to avoid that. One thing I can promise you is that you've never read a book like it. It is completely original. Saunders, 58, was one of 6 authors shortlisted for the prestigious award, alongside British writers Ollie Smith and Fiona Mosley, fellow Americans Paul Auster and Emily Fridland, and British-Pakistani author Mohsin Hamid. Speaking after his name was announced, Saunders said, "Thank you for this great honor which I hope to live up to with the rest of my work, for the rest of my life." Image caption. Shortlisted authors, left-right, Fiona Mosley, Paul Auster, Emily Fridland, Mohsin Hamid, George Saunders and Ollie Smith. The Texas-born author, who lives in New York, has previously won the Folio Prize and Story Prize for his short story collection 10th of December. Lincoln in the Bardo is his 9th book and had been the favorite to win the Booker. The Duchess of Cornwall presented his trophy at London's Guildhall. He based the story on a real moment in 1862, when the body of the U.S. president's 11-year-old son Willie was taken to a cemetery in Washington, D.C. Saunders revealed after writing the first third of the book he got a bit freaked out and wasn't sure if any other human being could read it. His wife Paula then read it and wrote on a post-it note something so generous it will stay a secret forever, and that gave him the confidence to continue. During a post-ceremony press conference, he said, "It sounds a little pathetic, but for an artist I think validation is really helpful. Maybe you shouldn't need it, but I definitely do. So when someone that I respect approves my work, or when I get grouped with a bunch of writers like these wonderful talents, my opinion of myself improves a little bit, and the next book has a little more courage in it." Media caption. Booker Prize winner, "We live in a strange time." Saunders said the novel had been in his heart for 20 years before he wrote it. Asked why it took him so long to commit it to the page, he told the BBC, "My stories are a little dark and cynical and sci-fi, and I just couldn't see any way to approach the serious material. I tried a couple of times, and it didn't work, and I just thought, either don't do it, or wait until you've enough life to do it justice." Deeply moving. Baroness Lola Young, chair of the 2017 judging panel, said the form of the novel, which includes voices of 166 souls in the graveyard, reveals a witty, intelligent and deeply moving narrative. It took 5 hours of deliberations before the panel, also including novelist Sarah Hall, artist Tom Phillips, literary critic Lila Azam-Zangana and the travel writer Colin Thubrin, made their unanimous decision. Baroness Young described the responsibility of choosing a winner as draining, saying, "We had actually some tears, but that was as much due to the kind of relief of having gotten to the decision. It wasn't about anger, sadness, or whatever." She added, "This really stood out because of its innovation, its very different styling, and the way in which it paradoxically brought to life these not-quite-dead souls in this other world. There was this juxtaposition of the very personal tragedy of Abraham Lincoln with his public life as the person who'd really instigated the American Civil War. The shortlist was whittled down from a longer list of 13 novels that was announced in July. The award has been open to U.S. writers since 2014 and was awarded to its first American winner, Paul Beatty, last year. Lincoln in the Bardo is published by Bloomsbury, making this the third consecutive year an independent publisher has won the award. The Bardo in the book's title refers to the transitional state between death and your next birth, according to Tibetan Buddhism. Man Booker Prize. Who's won it before? 2016, Paul Beatty, The Sellout. 2015, Marlon James, A Brief History of 7 Killings. 2014, Richard Flanagan, The Narrow Road to the Deep North. 2013, Eleanor Catton, The Luminaries. 2012, Hilary Mantel, Bring Up the Bodies. 2011, Julian Barnes, The Sense of an Ending. 2010, Howard Jacobson, The Finkler Question. 2009, Hilary Mantel, Wolf Hall. 2008, Aravinda Digga, The White Tiger. 2007, Anne Enright, The Gathering. As well as the winner's check, Saunders receives a rather unique honor. Royal Mail will apply a congratulatory postmark bearing his name to millions of items of stamped mail on Wednesday and Friday. It will read, "Congratulations to George Saunders, winner of the 2017 Man Booker Prize." He can also expect a spike in sales. In the week after Beatty won last year, sales of The Sellout increased by 658%. Saunders teaches at Syracuse University and was named one of the 100 most influential people in the world by Time magazine in 2013. 2017 Man Booker Prize shortlist. Image caption. Auster's 4321 took him more than 3 years to write. Paul Auster, 4321. In a nutshell, a young man growing up in New Jersey in the 1950s and 60s leads 4 parallel lives. Judges comment, an ambitious, complex, epic narrative that is essentially both human and humane. Emily Fridland, History of Wolves. In a nutshell, a 14-year-old girl living on a commune in the U.S. Midwest befriends some new arrivals. Judges comment, a novel of silver prose and disquieting power that asks very difficult questions. Image caption. Hammett is best known for his 2007 novel The Reluctant Fundamentalist. Mohsin Hamid, Exit West. In a nutshell, a boy and girl fall in love, move in together, and consider leaving their unnamed country. Judges comment, a subtle, compact piece of writing about a relationship, its blossoming and digressions. Image caption. Fiona Mosley was one of 3 female writers on the shortlist. Fiona Mosley, Elmet. In a nutshell, a boy remembers his life in a house his father built with his bare hands in an isolated wood. Judges comment, timeless in its epic mixture of violence and love, it is also timely, with no punches pulled. George Saunders, Lincoln in the Bardo. In a nutshell, President Abraham Lincoln goes to a Georgetown cemetery to grieve following his young son's death. Judges comment, daring and accomplished, this is a novel with a rare capriciousness of mind and heart. Image caption. This is the 4th time Ollie Smith has been shortlisted for the prize. Ollie Smith, Autumn. In a nutshell, a dying 101-year-old man is watched over by his closest and only friend. Judges comment, an elegy for lost time, squandered beauty but also for the loss of connections.